Offense. I'm your host, Ethan Strauss. This is the place where we try to look at where culture, business, even politics intersect with this great sports world of ours, this topsy-turvy sports world. We are joined by Amin El Hassan of Meadowlark Media. So many podcasts, cinephobe. Some would say he's more podcasts than man. I would say that. Amin. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and that's an accurate description. I think my life is just one big podcast episode. Every every interaction, I have to take a note because, like, oh, I'm going to bring this up later. So
Yeah,
it gets tiresome.
I used to think my life was a movie, but I've realized I'm not that glamorous or
Yeah.
charismatic. And sadly, ladies and gentlemen, my life is just a podcast. But it's
Yeah.
okay because hopefully it's an entertaining podcast. I think this will be an entertaining podcast. The NBA involved in a bit of news, a bit of drama. You, as always, on Pablo Torre Finds Out, just doing a fantastic job shepherding the conversation, being hilarious. Do you want to start with that? Or do you want to immediately get into which friend we should betray as they're fighting over this exact episode over social media? Which one do you want to get into, Amy?
Let's start with setting the table for because that'll give context to the friend fight.
Oh yes, this is why you're a professional right here. So, for those of you who do not know, there has been a crazy situation in the NBA, a double indictment from the FBI with some overlap. Pablo Torre is really trying to convey to people that there is some intertwining in these indictments. One is more colorful, the other is maybe more of a problem for the league. The more colorful one is former player, now head coach of the Blazers still, Chauncey Billups, being involved as a face card in some sort of crazy X-ray goggles, translucent tables, poker, thieving kind of scheme. And that one is quite entertaining. So many ties to the underworld, the mafia, all five families. All five families involved in this. The other is more the whole gambling, guys pretending to pull a muscle and hitting the under. Terry Rozier involved in that one, allegedly getting hundreds of thousands of dollars to pull up lame in a game. And there is a lot regarding that, including that indictment. Chauncey Billups, not formally named, instead named as co-conspirator 8, but people know who it's about, as conveying that the Trailblazers were about to tank and then a bunch of money comes in. But, and I only know this, Amin, because you had somebody on who's an expert, might not be enough to charge Chauncey when it comes to that one. And that is why perhaps he is a co-conspirator 8 as opposed to named. Is this a decent enough exposition? What am I missing here?
Yeah, I mean,
What does the table say here?
yeah, it's Operation Royal Flush is the rigged poker games in
Mm-hmm.
which a couple of former NBA players, Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, were
Oh yeah,
alleged
Damon Jones.
to be kind of like, ooh, I'd love to play in a game with those guys because everyone wants to hang out with their favorite former athletes. The other investigations, Operation Nothing But Bet, and that's the one where really what it's mostly about is insider trading,
Yeah.
insider information. Terry Rozier is the only instance of outright match fixing allegation, meaning, hey, kid, in the second round, you're going to take a
Mm,
dive, Pulp Fiction style, right?
yeah.
Whereas the majority of it actually is just informing people of information that is not public and who then those people then go make bets accordingly.
But so it's illegal to be a newsbreaker all of a sudden? I didn't know it was illegal to be a newsbreaker. Oh my God. Well, just
I think
lock me up and throw away the key.
the legal part is when you break the news only to certain people.
That's illegal? It's not
That's,
illegal to tell everybody. It's like porn versus prostitution.
yeah.
You're telling me it's illegal to have sex with money with one person, but to do it on camera to
No,
everybody
that's fine.
all
It's
of a
like,
sudden.
is this prostitution? No. Oh, thank God. As you were.
It's very, very strange, this whole thing, this whole predicament.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't even get into the Damon Jones of it all, and you are right that that is key. So, we've got a dispute between our friends. Amin is
Oh,
on these.
that's it. We're not even gonna discuss it. We just gave the context. And we're like, oh, let's jump right into the friend
Okay,
fight.
okay. Well, like
No,
you
no, we
discuss it.
might as well.
No, no, no.
We've
You
given
can you can
no, we've
steer
given We've given
whichever
the
way.
context. We've given the
Okay.
context. Let's get right into it.
I didn't think you'd be uncomfortable. I think, are you uncomfortable?
I'm
Is it
not.
okay to broach it? Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm uncomfortable.
Why
I
are you
projected.
uncomfortable?
I am uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable because I like
Hmm.
Pablo Torre, and obviously I like Nate Jones,
Yeah,
both
I do too.
multiple time guests on House of Strauss,
Hmm.
and they're fighting on the internet in a way that isn't tee hee hee, just we're
No,
joking.
yeah, it is. It is a legitimate difference of opinions.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
And I am slightly uncomfortable, and I'm going to be honest, that we're going to give our judgment on this. Okay. So, looking at the tweets right here. One second. Oh, this is great. I totally wrote down the tweets and now I can't find them. This is wonderful. This is so professional right here. Let me look it up. One second. Amin, if you want to give any more context and save my ass for this mistake, to this whole gambling scandal, how about you get into Sugar Shane Hennon? How about that while I look
Okay.
this up? Who will be played
So
by Tommy from Power when they make the movie
yeah,
about, in my opinion.
yes. So in these indictments, and they seem like separate crimes, I've described them kind of as separate crimes, separate alleged crimes, but there is connective tissue. There are names that go across both. And in the case of this man, Shane Hennon, who is a professional sports gambler with, brace yourself, this might shock you, a lurid past.
No way.
He is of incredible interest, or was incredible interest, to Pablo and myself, because he's also a name that appears in the Malik Beasley kind of saga,
Yeah.
and he's a name that appeared in the Jonte Porter ultimate indictments, charges, and convictions. So this is a guy, like, if you think about all the gambling scandals of the last 24 months or so in the NBA, this dude is kind of like the Forrest Gump of it. He's there for every single one. And we did a deep dive, and we got some court documents that were available. And shout out to Pat Forty, who wrote a pretty good piece that came out, I believe, the evening before our episode came out. But some of that stuff that we found was stuff that was not readily available,
Mm.
and it's pretty damning stuff in terms of Shane Hennon and his relationship with the government as a federal informant.
I was worried that you're bringing danger to certain people where you go, this is
It's
odd. They've done they've been involved in all these illegalities, and they're oddly not in jail. Very strange. Very
Yeah,
strange. You know.
it is weird, Ethan. It's like when we do the Kawhi Leonard aspiration case. At the end of the day, it's a stupid little NBA story. It's a huge story within the NBA, as it
Yeah.
should be, but in the grand scheme of life, nobody cares. None of these people care. Randoms, casuals down the street, people who may watch a basketball game a week. It doesn't really matter that much. This is different. We're talking about prison time. We're talking about federal charges. We're talking about the commissioner having to go before Congress. This is real life. And
Mm.
so there is a part of me that sometimes when I'm talking about this, I'm like, let me be very careful
Dude.
the way I talk about it, because I mean, like, we're
Oh,
not talking about the Clippers might be mad at me. We're talking about the mob that might be mad at me.
multiple mobs. I mean,
Multiple
multiple mobs.
mobs.
Not only just all the Italian mobs that are allegedly involved in the poker situation. Billups is alleged to have been leaking this inside info to somebody who I believe, Henry Abbott's written about it, who is in the Black Mafia family in Detroit. You not
There
only
you
have the
go.
White Mafia to worry about, you also have the Black Mafia. You've got both
Goddamn
bases covered.
DEI.
Yeah, they
It's
expanded it.
nothing sacred. It's nothing
Yeah,
sacred.
it's absolutely absurd. It's absurd
Yeah.
that they had to get some sort. Well, actually, now I'm getting scared. Now I'm getting worried. I thought I could joke about it, but now
No, man.
I don't even know. So it's terrifying. But
It-
let's go to what's really scary, which is talking about your friends when they're fighting. Can you play the clip I have of Pablo talking about how Ty Lue is a central figure, perhaps, in this whole story? Play the clip.
had the experience reporting these stories where I can give you chapter and verse on the fact that Tai Lu is a recurring character in this story in ways that have been not yet disclosed until this episode. I can tell you that we have footage at the World Series of Poker in which Tai Lu is watching a friend of his have a great victory while sitting on the rail, the equivalent of courtside at a playoff game at the World Series of Poker last year. And the guy who was sitting next to him celebrating their mutual friendship with this poker player is Damon Jones. I can tell you that Tai Lu is a recurring character at the Aria High Limit Bar alongside Damon
I've
Jones. And by
seen
the way,
Ty Lue at
Damon
the art.
Jones calls Tai Lu his best friend. I will give you one guess as to who Tai Lu says is his best friend, because it's not Damon Jones, it is Chauncey Billups. And Tai Lu happened to hire both of those guys to his staffs when he got head jobs in the NBA. Tai Lu also was there at the April 2019 allegedly rigged poker game where Chauncey Billups was not merely the whale at the table, but according to the federal indictment, someone who was cooperating as a member of the cheating team with effectively some of the most unsavory characters to occur in the
That
history of
cheating team,
sports
the
and scandal.
Clippers.
And so there's that. There's just like that part. And we requested comment from the Clippers a week ago. They have not responded to our request. So that's another part of it that I think is probably worth mentioning because we
Okay, we
don't
can cut
know
Pablo
exactly
off.
the depth.
It's getting very detail heavy, and I
Mm.
already fear the lack of exposition here. Ty
Wow.
Lue is the coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. He is
Uh-huh.
not accused of doing anything as of yet.
Right.
But this sets up our whole conversation. By the way, I'm getting almost distracted by how when you get into these details and you're the Charlie Day meme with all the
Pepe Silvia?
yeah, the Pepe Silvia. When I'm
Yeah.
watching Pablo, I was just laughing to myself about how divorced from context, he just sounds like he sounds like a Ty Lue super fan on the internet, just
Yeah.
talking about all the details of his life.
Yeah.
I have image of him at a poker game enjoying himself. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But okay, so this leads us into this whole dispute between NBA agent Nate Jones, friend of ours,
Hmm.
and Pablo for what was put out there in the episode about one Ty Lue.
Hmm.
Ty Lue, friends with both Billups and Damon Jones, who were named in these indictments.
Yeah.
Nate tweets, "This is weak AF." I think that means as fuck. I mean, that's
Yes,
what I
I
think.
believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Ty Lue hasn't been charged with anything or mentioned by the feds. 3 throwing out trash emojis. By the way, theory here, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that this would have exploded into a vitriolic fight between our friends without those emojis. That's my theory. It's just my
You
theory.
think it would have flown under the radar
I think
if
so.
Nate Jones had just kept the decorum of emojiless communication?
I think there's some extra. It's just you're conveying this as trash. It's one thing, it's weak AF, but you're saying
Yeah.
that it's just trash to be discarded. My reporting, my hard fought reporting. Okay. So, so in response to that, Pablo says there are a lot of people like Jones on the NBA. That's Nate Jones, who
Yeah.
get paid to market the NBA and its players and coaches. My job is to report the truth.
Yeah.
You can decide who to trust. Okay. So I've got some thoughts on this. It's interesting.
Please.
Nate is saying that what Pablo did is wrong because Ty Lue is not accused of wrongdoing, but it's almost being insinuated.
Hmm.
And it seems like Pablo is insinuating or conveying that Nate is compromised, that he's putting
Hmm.
out stuff because of his relationships.
Hmm.
Now, here's my take on the whole matter.
Hmm.
If I was just an editor of the podcast,
Hmm.
great podcast, by the way. Again, you were fantastic. You were hilarious. Pablo was
Thank
great.
you.
I would have said to cut a little bit of the Ty Lue part just because I don't know what we're doing with it. At the same time, this is all I heard in NBA circles. You probably heard similarly. When these indictments came down and Chauncey Billups was all over him and Damon Jones was all over him, all I was getting texted about is what's up with Ty Lue? What's going on with Ty Lue? What's going on with Ty Lue? Because they know Ty Lue likes his cards and they know that
Hmm.
he's, as it was said by the warden in Shawshank Redemption, thick as thieves with
Hmm.
those other guys. And so I know that's what people are talking about behind the scenes. So I more or less agree with Nate's sentiment without saying weak, without the trash can emoji that we've already established has Pablo Torre so furious.
Mhm.
You know, I understand that sentiment. And at the same time, I think it would have been okay to at least note the connection to Ty Lue. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Pablo is doing is going above and beyond. Again, I think something that people struggle to keep in mind is most of the time when we have news that we are reacting to, it is typically something that is transactional in basis.
Yeah.
So and so is not going to re-sign with the Anaheim Amigos at the end of the year. And now we're all reacting as podcasts, as shows, as people on social media to that news that was revealed to us. What Pablo's been working on, many of these stories, he is the person who is uncovering a lot of this stuff. So this isn't Pablo reacting to the indictments that came down last week.
Yeah.
This is Pablo and his team who have been working on this case for months. And I'm part of that team as well. And that means there are things that you're going to see that
This is the thing.
that need the context, right? He didn't pick Ty Lue out of the blue. There's a context behind that, which is at the scene of these alleged crimes, I've been kind of steadfast on nobody is guilty until they're proven so. So whether it's Chauncey or there's Damon Jones, whatever, I don't feel comfortable about speaking in definites. Basically, oh yeah, these guys did it, and now we've graduated to accusing someone else of doing it. We're just saying he's just saying at the scene of these alleged crimes that involve people that are close to Ty Lue, Ty Lue's presence should be noted. I know what Nate's saying. Nate's saying like you're playing very loose and dangerous by insinuating names that were not indicted or anything. Yes, if Pablo were sitting on his couch and just shooting the breeze based on the news that broke.
Well, and
At the same
yeah.
at the same time,
Yes, yes.
I don't like Pablo saying, well, the reason Nate feels that way is because he's compromised.
Yeah.
Like he like it's and maybe there are some people who if they had reacted the way Nate would, I would be like, absolutely. But I think and Pablo knows Nate. We all know Nate. We all know he's not that kind of guy
Yeah.
to where he will blatantly carry water, basically, uh, in for whatever. Especially when you consider Ty Lue is not a client. Ty Lue is not the coach of a team where Nate has a bunch of clients.
Mm.
This is just Nate being an NBA guy, like a guy who knows people because he works in the business. So I think for Pablo to dismiss him in that way, rather than engage him in either a meaningful conversation or invite him onto the pod as he did with Mark Cuban, that I was like, probably not the best approach. Not because oh you should never talk like that on the internet, but because I know Nate and we all know Nate. It's not like he's not just some jamoke.
Yeah. I will say, as somebody who's invested in Nate's company, Move Insoles, Nate does not operate due to conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, in all
So you're
seriousness,
compromised, basically, is what you're saying.
well, yeah, we're all compromised to a
No,
degree.
you are.
Well, me personally.
I didn't get to invest because I foolishly decided I was going to buy a house instead, and I kick myself every day. I'm like, these guys are going to be millionaires, but I have my house. So
We don't know. The game is long, but I would say I agree with everything you said right there. I think the first aspect of it is with Pablo. I resist the urge to jump on Pablo, not that I would anyway, and say, you don't have enough to say this or that, because he always seems to just withhold a little bit. He's always withholding a little bit.
mhm,
I don't know what's behind door number two. So
mhm,
if he's saying something about somebody, I'm resisting the urge to say, hey, there's nothing about this person that
mhm.
should be, this or that allegation, just because I don't know what's going to be in the next episode. They've done a great job establishing that. So that's number one. Number two, I agreed not liking the way he went at Nate because, hey, there are people who are schemers where everything they say is about that.
Yep.
And I'm reminded of the Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker, schemers. He's a schemer, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that's not Nate. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
Nate's going to defend Dame Lillard if something
Sure.
happens. That's his client. But Nate's a very genuine guy. He likes to give his opinion on matters. And I've never known him to be somebody who does it cynically. I've seen him actually get a lot of backlash and scorn just sharing his opinions. And he believes everything he says. Knowing him, I know
And
that much.
And I would also add that if Nate didn't believe something that would be quote unquote what his position should have been,
Mm,
he would just not say anything,
yeah.
right? Like if Nate truly was like, yeah, I know Tyler probably is linked up in this, but it behooves me to not ever admit to that out loud. He just wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't like say, I have to stand up for Tyler. Like he wouldn't do that. And that's,
Yeah.
I think, but again, that goes back to all of this is a case of context. Like if you know these people and their mannerisms and their patterns of behavior, that's why you and I are able to sit back and say, okay, probably has some more. He wouldn't just say that unless
Mm.
he felt comfortable based on something that we haven't found out yet. But also, Nate's not the kind of guy who would just blindly, like I said, carry water.
I'm not saying that Ty Lue threw games or match fixed while coach of the Clippers.
I don't
I
think
don't
anybody.
believe that. I don't believe that at all. But it would be very funny. It would be extremely funny if the Clippers spent a bajillion dollars and allegedly paid Kawhi Leonard whatever under the table and the coach was match fixing. Again, I
Yeah.
don't believe that. But that
I-
would be
I-
the funniest thing.
But even that's the other part of this from the perspective of like the DOJ and the FBI to the layperson, hell, to even some avid sports fans who don't sit and read the indictments as I did. I read all the grand jury indictments. They are trying to position this case as though there's widespread match fixing in the NBA.
Mm.
When in reality, the entirety of these indictments, there's only one instance of alleged match fixing in all of it, and that's the Terry Rozier game. It's not even like Terry Rozier had a stretch of games where he was doing this. I'm talking about one game for Terry Rozier. Everything else. So let's, for a second, let's put the poker game on the side because this has nothing to do with basketball. If Chauncey Billups had been an NFL player, if Chauncey Billups had been a movie star, if Chauncey Billups had been a music recording artist, right? It's still the same story. He's famous. People come to play with the famous guy, but the games are rigged. That's not an NBA story. The Operation Nothing But Bet, really what it centers around is insider trading, having information and leaking it for sale to people to make bets so that they can profit off it. The problem is, if you tell me match fixing is going on in the NBA, I say no because again, the gambling houses will pick up on it real quick. Wait a second, you're betting how much on unders for Jonte Porter? Massive red flag. We caught it pretty quickly. But when you say, "Hey, I got a hot tip that LeBron's not playing tonight, and so I'm gonna bet against the Lakers," right? That information is not within the purview of a few people. There's a shit ton of people in any given organization who know that. And so that information can be peddled and probably is being peddled very readily all the time just because it's available. And if you have the connection, the in, and the wherewithal to compensate people, and again, in all of these things, I remind you, the higher paid the person, the less likelihood of collaborating on something like that.
Yeah.
There's a reason why all the gambling scandals of match fixing uh, of the last century, let's say, were mostly in college sports because these were amateurs who aren't making money. So me giving 50 grand to a kid to point shave is the world to him versus me giving a guy who makes $7 million a year 50 grand. It's like that's Tuesday, right? Like so, like the amount of money. So when you're talking about okay, so then who are my prime targets? It's not players. It probably isn't even coaches. It's other people's like
Trainers.
trainers. It's locker room attendants. It's hell the guys who work the facility. It's the security people who work in the facility, right? Who have access to cameras and microphones. And I'm not trying to impugn any of those people. I'm just saying there's a lot of people. So to say it's like it was Damon Jones or or co-conspirator number 8, that's to me it's a stretch because there's a lot of ways that information get disseminated. Furthermore, in the case of Chauncey Billups, or excuse me, co-conspirator number 8, there's a part of that where it's like, is he giving insider information or is he a coach who knows he's getting racked with losses on his record despite an organizational decision to tank games? So you're telling me it's rare that NBA coaches are like, man, they shutting our guys down for the year. I have to play the young guys because we tank it. You think that's a conversation that's never happened with NBA coaches unless it's for gambling purposes? No, guys bitch about basically I got to carry the stink for the organization. But when you guys come to fire me, they're like, oh, look at his win percentage. Wait a second.
I feel
Those
like we're
aren't my
doing a
losses.
little. Feel like we're doing a little 12 Angry Men for Chauncey Billups right now. We're
I'm
doing.
I'm just I'm merely presenting, and maybe
No.
it is that, but like the reality is, Ethan, this isn't the aspiration Kawhi case where it's just like circumstantial evidence and where it says, hey, does this make sense? Reasonable market value for rendered services. We have a lot of gray area in the collective bargaining agreement. This is criminal court.
Yeah.
If all I have to do is present a reasonable doubt, I feel like I'm building some of that right here.
Well, it's very strange too. I'm thinking about what you said because I could envision a scenario, and I don't know enough about what the feds know. But what if Chauncey's just talking to a friend and he's saying, "Yeah, we're tanking, it's done," and then
Yeah.
these bets get made without intent? There's something crazy about it because I was looking this up because people were speculating about LeBron because LeBron used to play with Damon Jones and they're friends, and people
He's
said they played cards together.
not
And
only that, but like the big connection is that, as the Lakers made infinitely clear, Damon Jones was not a Laker employee. He's on LeBron's staff, and he
yeah,
was because he's on LeBron's staff. The Lakers allow him to travel and have access, basically the way an employee would. But he does not work. He did not work for them.
well, so I was curious about all of that. And so I fed this scenario. And this is a scenario. This is a hypothetical. To be clear, this is a hypothetical. There's nothing in the indictment that says this happened.
Mm-hmm.
But just the scenario where LeBron texts Damon Jones, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm not playing tonight. Make your bets, man. Like if he did that, what's
Right,
the level of illegality? And it's up to 20 years from what I could see.
right.
I'm sure LeBron wouldn't have the worst lawyer in the world. I'm sure he wouldn't get 20, but I can understand how if you're an athlete, you're wondering how the hell is this so illegal? This is just me talking about
Well,
what I'm going to do with my own body. And it's that level of illegality. It's not
well,
intuitive
in a
almost.
in a weird way, Ethan, the illegality is the last sentence you said in your
Well,
hypothetical.
yeah, that
Make your
makes it the
bets.
damning
If he
most.
just says, "I don't think I'm gonna play today,"
Yeah,
this happens
that's
all the time.
conversation.
This happens all the time. People are telling friends and family members, and hey, man, we're gonna come over to. We got me and the kids are gonna come see you tonight. Like, hey, man, I'll see y'all. I'll say what's up,
Yeah,
but I'm not playing tonight.
yeah.
Just tell the kids to brace themselves. There's nothing to control what happens to that information, right? And so, again, I don't know if any of these people did or did not do what they are being alleged to do. What I'm saying is there's a lot of ways where something that could appear like insider trading is actually just people having the casual conversation that they've had for decades in this league. Again, how many coaches bitch about their teams behind
Yeah.
closed doors because they can't say it in public?
This is the main
Man, we're
thing they do.
tanking. That
This is the
happens
main
all the time.
the
It's the main thing they
main
do.
the main thing coaches do, if you know NBA coaches in private, is to bitch about their team and tell you the reason they're not performing to the level the coach thinks they should be performing at, including and especially the tanking, but often just being forced by management to play young guys who don't know what's
Sure.
going on. And you could see a scenario where you say that the guy you're saying it to keeps making bets on the basis of that, and then it looks like you're involved in a scheme, and that
Yeah.
might not be the case. The other one that's crazy to me, and I should have known this, but I didn't know this. I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know about this. This whole scenario with the Blazers, where the story is that they were told to tank by Joe Cronin, the GM, by management, and Billups is conveying that they're going to tank. I assumed that tanking was you're not allowed to do that. That was my assumption. And when I looked into it
from an NBA perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
And looking into the CBA, as far as I can see, it's tank away, man. Just don't talk about it. Don't be like Mark Cuban and openly say you're doing it. But we don't care if you're actually doing it.
Well, Ethan, so I'll give you a great example. Back in the day, right now, if you're the injured list is fluid, meaning every game I announce who's active, who's inactive. But in years past, the way it worked was if someone was on the injured list, A, they had to remain on the injured list for 5 games before you could activate them again. B, they had to have a legitimate injury. You could not have a healthy person on the injured list.
Yeah.
So what teams would do was say, well, he's got tendonitis. So he's out with tendonitis to stash him on injured reserve. But like the reason why tendonitis is so popular is because like there's no medical exam. There's no x-ray that says, no, he doesn't have tendonitis.
That's why I said I had migraines back in school when I wanted to get out of doing something. You can't disprove that. Scottie Pippen.
You just have to take their word for it, right? And so it's the same thing with tanking. It's like, yeah, if you come out and you say it, like, actually, I feel great. Well, then you're going to have to, you can't sit out this, Ethan. You just said you're great. Oh, did I say that? I mean, migraines, right? Same thing. It's like, if I come out and say, we're tanking. Well, now you just, but like, if I'm tanking, but I don't admit to it, I say, man, we're really trying. What happened? Why didn't Damian Lillard and Shaedon Sharpe and Weber play? Oh, well, Dame's dealing with this foot thing. Okay, like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna put the guy through jumping jacks to prove that he's actually a healthy scratch. It's a crime that only happens when you're dumb enough to post about it, basically.
Yeah, if you're Mark Cuban talking openly about it, then you get fined $600,000 by the league, but the league doesn't care if you do it. And then that creates this other problem where, I mean, this is the one that broke my brain, and I feel like other people don't care as much as I do. But I've got questions with the Billups because in the indictment, it's this is a alleged specific game against the Bulls where all the principal Blazers sit and they lose the game by infinity points to the Bulls. And that inside information was given by Billups to this Ernest guy who was with the Black Mafia. It sounds bad. It sounds like an edge. The Black
It
Mafia.
sounds like Trump said it. The
Black Mafia.
You see this? They've got their own mafia now.
Own mafia.
They're black.
They're black. They're back, folks. It's a different mafia. Yeah. So that's conveyed. And I've got all these questions. I've got, okay, who know what when? Did Cronin tell Billups to do that? We maybe should get some information on it because if it's Billups just pulling all these guys, then that seems like it's match fixing. I'd like to know, but then you're in this kind of convoluted, your brain's in knots because I'm going, wait. Did Billups throw a game when he wasn't supposed to throw a game because he's allowed to throw a game? And if he was told to throw a game, then it was fine to throw a game. But if he just threw a game under his own volition, then it's match fixing. And something's got to be done about tanking is my main point.
But it is funny because like, it's like, how do we prove that Chauncey wasn't match fixing? That he was actually just tanking? Well, if we get the organization to say, yeah, we told Chauncey to tank. But if they do that, then they're doing the thing that we just talked about. The only way you can get caught for tanking is by admitting you're tanking. So it's like, it's one of the two things. Yeah, it's like, oh shit, now we're in trouble with the league. Right? Like, the league is like, thank you for being honest and, not letting Chauncey go down with this. Having said that, we're going to ding you here. We're going to find your organization. It's tough, man. It's a very complex situation, and it highlights kind of intersectionality of all of these different forces, right? That's an Ethan word. You like that one?
Intersectionality. The NBA has been afflicted by intersectionality.
You guys see this? They're calling it intersectionality.
I don't know what that means. Make your point. Don't get my giant eyebrows jump in. Don't let that get in the way of your point.
It's the infusion of money from gambling. It's the need for transparency. It's the ability to red flag suspicious pattern behaviors. It's the need to put out a product. Actually, that's what it all is. Let me rephrase. all it is about the integrity of the game. Is that your consumers believe that what they see is an honest to God representation of what's actually happening. And so everything from gambling to even tanking, right? The problem with tanking is it tells the consumer, hey, we're punting on giving you product this year. And
Yeah.
that the league can't have that. And so all of this comes back down to like, how do we continue to sell our game to people that it's worth watching and worth paying attention to, and know we're not half-assing it, and also know it's not compromised.
Yeah. We need to maintain the noble lies that everybody can tell is a lie. We've got Titonia with his hand up. I didn't even mention you guys can ask questions. That was quite rude of me. And I've got reservations about putting Teutonia on because his Bucks beat the Warriors without one Giannis. And
Ryan Rollins.
Ryan Hollins, future
Rollins,
superstar.
not Ryan Hollins. Ryan Hollins is a
Oh,
former.
sorry. Sorry. No, I'm old is what's I'm Dick Stockton at the end when he was announcing games is what I am right now. Teutonia, you're muted. Can we get you unmuted? It seems like you've got some thoughts about more than the Bucks win total over being a lock.
Yeah, the joke there is that Ray Allen and Big Dog were 34 and 13 in the 2000s, and the Bucks didn't retire either of those numbers. And now clearly we're going to retire Giannis and Ryan Rollins' number, as Ryan Rollins is going to be like 5-time first team All NBA. So yeah, it's been a great week for that kind
And
of
then
stuff.
Nico will trade him.
Also an inside job. I guess it's been good just listening. The only question, Ethan has been such a proponent this whole time of don't apologize, double down. In Silver's case, though, isn't this the time for the big mea culpa? Just, hey guys, I screwed it all up. Sam Hinkie and Dork Elvis, and just for isn't this the time at this point to just say we made some mistakes, we're going to change everything, we're back on the right track. Because as I was surprised that so many people made this point. I thought this was kind of a clandestine point, but everybody's making that the tanking led to all this. And the integrity of the games being compromised led to all this. And so isn't this a time for Silver to say, hey, y'all, I just messed up and just I'm going to come clean. We're going to do better. And I think everybody would just kind of move on because it seems like he's going to have to go to Congress and talk to right wingers and do all that at some point. Shouldn't he just at this point not double down and just say, hey, my bad. Sorry.
He should. By the way, I emailed Josh Hawley's office today. I don't think I'll get an email back. I just want to know what they're going to ask. I just want to know what's going to go on with the Senators and one Adam Silver.
Somebody named Ethan Strauss just emailed me. I like Josh Hawley. He's like, who the fuck is Ethan Strauss? To Tony, to answer your question, I would say no, because I don't think it's a widespread problem. That's the reality is. I'm not saying that these allegations, again, could they be real and everyone's guilty, whatever? Sure. But it's not a widespread problem. It's being presented for the Dog and Pony Show to be a widespread problem. But again, we're talking about since gambling has been, so it's almost 10 years now, or however long it's been
since they've been 2018, I think is when it started.
Okay, 7 years. In the last 7 years, we've got 2 instances of alleged match fixing. Jonte Porter, we know was real. Terry Rozier, we're about to find out, is it or is it not? And again, the inside information part, I don't think any sport is immune to that. It's not like, NFL coaches don't talk shit about their teams in their front offices. Like, they do that shit too. So I don't think that's a widespread problem. And again, usually we are finding out through the gambling houses, the mainstream gambling houses, when there is shenanigans, because why is there so much action going on this particular bet? So for me, if I'm Adam Silver, I'm going full Ethan Strauss. I'm dadding it up, double down. This isn't a problem. You guys are making a big deal out of something nothing. We have this under control. If we're gonna do corruption, actually, if I was Adam Silver and I really wanted to be ballsy, we want to play. Oh, who's got the corruption going on in their business? I would believe that the folks on Capitol Hill have more to worry about than the NBA does.
I just love how Amin plays the role of both arsonist and firefighter. That he's on Pablo Torre finds out and he's going, look, there aren't these many scandals to worry about. So Adam Silver should just put it to bed. And, then next week, massive scandal dropped on Pablo Torre finds out. But
isn't the parallel though that no one ever stopped doing coke, but at a certain point, Stern came out of the coke, Roy Tarpley and all that, and Michael Ray Richardson,
Hmm.
and just said, hey, okay, at this point, we're going to act tough on some guys, make some changes.
Mm.
Bird and Magic are here, and Dr. J, and we're up and rolling.
Hmm.
And nothing ever really stops completely. But I think at this point, it's such an inflection point. They simply need to apologize for some of this stuff and move on. Gambling's not going away. Much of these problems are going to persist. But I just think at a certain point, PR wise, he should apologize and say, "Hey, we're going to fix all this." And I think the public will get distracted by other news, as we all are. That's just my take on it.
I wouldn't use the phrasing "fix all this," but I agree with you broadly. But yes,
I think by admitting that it's a problem to be repaired, by the commissioner of the league doing that, it creates a bigger story. In the same way that if you remember, Ethan, they had people were talking about, oh, to watch NBA games this year, you need to pay $650 a year. And it's like, okay, that's not real, right? Because that involves having League Pass and getting Amazon and Peacock. But the reality is, if I just have the same basic cable package that I've had for the last 20 years, I'm getting more games than I ever have before. Now, if I want even more, I can get Peacock and Amazon. And if I want even more than that, I can get League Pass. But those are luxuries. The basic cable package gets you more than it ever has before. And rather than Adam Silver just saying, "What are you talking about? You're getting more than you ever have before by paying the same amount," he says, "We're a highlight league anyway." And that kicks off a complete news cycle about, oh, the NBA doesn't, like, instead of just saying, no, I refuse to allow you to frame the rules of engagement, right? He dictates, as commissioner, he dictates what is the playing field area. They try to get him on $650. Like, that's not the playing field area. The playing field area is, how much were you paying last year? Of $80 for my cable a month. Okay, you get more for your $80 this year than you did last year, and that's the playing field we're having. Same thing here. It's like, hey man, you got gambling and huge scandals. Like, no. There's two things happening here. They're very serious. We take it very seriously, but I'm not going to allow you to frame it as it's all over and it's widespread and I need vast changes. I think by acknowledging the rules of engagement that are erroneous that someone else is setting, you've kind of just already given up.
I don't disagree with you, but I think I'm more on Teutonia's side just because I don't think apologizing for the sake of apologizing does much good. That's what I'll first say. That's just as bad PR. It highlights the problem. But if you make your reactive a launching pad into the proactive, I think that can be good. And so I think if you use this as an assault on tanking and you say, look, we think this happened because of the tanking and we want to make sure there's no tanking. Now, here's the problem. I don't know if he'd want to do what I want to do. I feel like I can solve tanking. I feel like it's very simple. This is just my belief.
I think it's already been solved.
Well, let me just say what my solution is. I know a lot has been done to the odds to sort of make it better. Just make it simple. Bring it back to the back in the day. If you make the playoffs, you've made the playoffs, increase the revenue bonus for making the playoffs. And if you don't, everybody's got equal odds. Now, one might say the play-in is a little bit of a confounder and all that. I don't like the play-in. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. I personally would get rid of it. I just,
what?
What do you mean? You love the play-in?
I love the play-in. The play-in is what saved us from tanking. The play-in is what saved us from tanking. Yes, you did. Because this is what happened pre-play-in. I'm a team. I think we can make a run for the playoffs this year. I think we're pretty good. Christmas hits. We're 15 games under 500. Well, sit them all. Play the young guys. We'll see you in Secaucus. Now, because of the play-in, I'm like, I may be far from 6 or even 8. I ain't that far from 9 or 10. I'm only like 5 games back from them, and they're not that much better than us. And so it elongates and extends past the trade deadline people's appetite to remain, team appetite, to remain competitive, to behave in a competitive fashion, right? That in and of itself eliminates instead of having 8 teams tanking, we're down to like 2 or 3 that knew it before the season started because they're awful. They knew they were awful on day one.
I observed that it's had that benefit, but that comes with costs. It dilutes
What's the cost?
It dilutes the playoff field, and now no GM ever gets fired. I think if I was a GM, I would love the play-in. I'm always somewhere between a total rebuild with a high draft pick and just making the playoffs. That's kind of comfortable. That's kind of nice, but it's made the regular season seem less elite, is what I would say. Look, I just think
it put value on the regular season games that, and not only, again, because those teams are competitive now, right? Those lower seeded teams or lower conference teams, because they're still trying. It also changes the math for the really good teams, because it used to be, all right, we're playing, we're playing Chicago in March. They're out of the picture, so they're gonna sit their guys, so I can sit my guys. Now it's like, no, Chicago's fighting, man. I gotta come correct because this isn't a schedule win like it used to be under the play-in moments. The other part of it is it makes the play. The only thing I don't like about the play-in is that part of the benefit of being one of the best teams is that A, I'm going to play someone easier, and B, I know who I'm playing. So right now, if you're the 1 or the 2 seed, you don't find out who your opponent is going to be until literally a day or 2 before game 1. Whereas if I'm the 3 seed, I know exactly who I'm going to play for.
Great point.
I had the whole week. 3 and 6 had a whole week. 3, 4, 5, 6 had a week where they knew, oh, we're playing them. So we can do all the scouts and all the stuff and do the practice and the scout team, whatever. Whereas 1 and 2, they got to watch TV and wait to see. And I don't like that. So my proposal was
glad you agree with me. Play-in sucks. It's been resolved. It's it screws over the top teams. That's unfair. Man, I would love to debate the play-in for more, but we only got so much time left right now. Can we pull up Spike Eskin's Wemby take? I don't know if Amin knows about this. I am fascinated by this take. This take has people furious on the internet.
Spike is a friend of the show. He's come on the show many a time. Love Spike. Why am I talking like Trump? Love Spike Eskin.
Love Spike. Great Pennsylvania guy. Play the clip.
Hey, I wanted to give an update on the opinion I expressed about Victor Wembanyama on Kevin O'Connor's podcast. Essentially what I said was, given his extreme physical advantages and his skill sets, that I wasn't really that impressed with his current production, and that he should do something like average 50 points a game or win 5 consecutive championships for me to be that impressed. I still hold that opinion, to be clear. I did get an interesting email from a gentleman named Torsten, who is an assistant professor at Kettering University, that I think adds a little more context to what I thought. I wanted to read Torsten's email word for word, as I think it expresses what I was trying to express. He says, hello. The other day, and I'm sorry, I'm going to look off to the side because I have to read the email. Yeah. Hello. The other day I was listening to your podcast with Kevin O'Connor, and you spent some time wondering why the expectations for Wemby aren't higher given his physical advantages. I completely agree, and this got me wondering what it would take for me to experience basketball like Wemby does. So I did some basic maths and thought I would share it with you. As you noted, Wemby has reportedly grown to 7'7". I'm 5'9", so a ratio of 0.76. The rim is normally at 10 feet. At that ratio, you'd have to lower it to 7'7". 8 feet is the regulation height for the lowest age bracket for youth basketball, 6 and 7-year-olds, and the minimum most adjustable rims can lower to. Most of the time, the tallest player on the court in the NBA is 7 feet. The average player is 6'6", and the shortest is 6 feet. At that ratio, the players on the court with me would need to be 5'4", average height for 13-year-old boys, which are in 8th grade, 4'11", 12-year-olds in 7th grade, and 4'6.5", 9-year-olds in 4th grade. Wemby's hands are reportedly 10.75 inches. Mine are 8 5/8. A regulation NBA ball is 9.5 inches in diameter. At that ratio, we need a ball that is 7.6 inches. That's halfway between a women's basketball and a Nerf basketball. Finally, Wemby's arm span is 8 feet. Mine is 5'9". An NBA court is 50 feet wide. At that ratio, we'd need a court that is 36 feet wide, almost exactly a doubles tennis court. So in sum, I'd have to play against a bunch of kids between 4th and 8th grade on a rim modified to be lower than regulation for 6-year-olds with a youth size 4 soccer ball on a tennis court. I cannot imagine any of my friends would be impressed if I dropped 40 and 15 under those conditions. And that, my friends, is what I was trying to say.
Oh my God.
That is great take theater.
Oh my God.
That, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do it, where it's not lazy like First Take or these debate shows.
Oh,
That's fantastic. Spike's awesome. The counter argument I would make is all of that is true except in his hypothetical, those 4th through 8th graders also need to be incredibly strong and fast and athletic more because Wemby is tall and very fluid. He's not the fastest player. He's not the highest jumping player, and he's not the strongest player. And there are a lot of people who are stronger than him. There are a lot of players who are faster than him. There are a lot of players who are more bouncy than him. So if you had like mutant, elite, athletic 4th through 8th graders, but then kept all the rest of those parameters intact, then I would agree. But the difference is, when you're playing against children, they don't have the physical strength to match up.
You're right. It's a subversive take, though. It's a take that could bring down the NBA even more than these gambling scandals. This idea that we shouldn't be impressed by tall people because if you're tall, you have a massive advantage at basketball. I mean, I don't know what to do with that.
But I'm gonna tell you something, Ethan. Before he went into when it was just Spike's portion of the take, I had the rebuttal ready. But then the professor's email is so hilarious that we went there. But like the rebuttals, we've already done this before. His name was Shaq.
Yep.
Everyone's like, Shaq doesn't do enough. Shaq. I was talking about this on Levitar last week, and Mike Ryan couldn't believe it when we were saying, everyone thought Shaq was underachieving. And Mike Ryan's like, what are you talking about? He won 4 championships. He had a 3-peat, and then I'm like, Mike, I'm telling you, the motherfucker was the most dominant player, and everyone's like, not enough.
Yeah.
Well,
Mike's looking at it from the perspective of Shaq started when he arrived at the Heat as an older player and not all the frustrations people had just in the early Shaq years. But I felt that way just as a fan. I just felt I'm not impressed by this. Yeah. I appreciate it more now. But back then, as a kid,
people used to say he's just big.
Yeah.
Like they didn't understand his footwork is impeccable. He's got an incredible first step. He's got an incredible vertical leap. He's so fast and so smart. And he uses his strength judiciously. He doesn't just truck people. He's using it judiciously. But all people saw was he's big. Of course he's supposed to, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so for Victor, sure. Yeah. Maybe there are going to be people like Spike who say that. And I think it's a funny take. I think it's a great funny take. I don't think it's necessarily true, but it's not something I think that would make me I would fear would bring about the demise of the league.
I'm being tongue in cheek about it, but yet there is something in me that goes, I respect that Wemby is an alien. I've never seen somebody that size doing what he's doing. The step back is just, it's so clean. It's insane. But if you ask me, do you want the best player? Do you want the best player in the league to be the tallest player in the league? I'd go, I don't want that. That just feels like, it's a race to be the tallest. And that's what
this goes back to my tweet from like 2013, right? Remember that one? I don't know why Steph Curry isn't the most popular player in the league right now, because no one will ever be. Kids can't look at LeBron and say, "Oh, I could play like that. I can't jump like LeBron. I can't be big like Dwight Howard, but I can do that." And I said that like before the Curry shit really took off, and it was like, yeah, there is something incredibly inclusive about someone who looks normal, even though Steph Curry isn't normal, even though he is an elite athlete, right? But he looks normal. And there's something about that is inclusive to fans in terms of projecting themselves and all that. At the same time, I think Michael Jordan and to some extent LeBron James taught us that, yeah, we kind of want our elites to be gods, to be like, oh man, like it's unreal. That's not real. And so for Wemby, I think there's a portion of there's an intimidation that is good if you're going to be the best player in the league. Having said that, I was laughing at Teutonia's chat messenger. He said, if he was getting beat up, we would respect it. We respect conflict. No one is impressed by some stick man.
People hated
great.
Kareem.
Yeah.
Bill Simmons called him a ninny back in the day. I mean, I don't know what it is though. With LeBron, he's big, but there's something about the most athletic guy being the best in the league is something we get excited about. If it's Anthony Edwards, if it's LeBron in his prime, but the tallest man, just a guy. I mean, I don't think we want the game winner.
Wilt?
Well, didn't Wilt say nobody roots for Goliath? I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if we want the game winner in the game 7 of a playoff series to be a guy dunking without jumping. If that's the game winner, I don't think we want that.
I think, and the other thing that's funny is like Wilt and Shaq and Kareem in a different way, but definitely they kind of embrace being a villain. You're right. No one roots for Goliath. And so what? So what's going to happen? Goliath is going to be a dick and he's going to let you know, right? I can't see Wemby being that. He's just too nice a guy, man, which is great. I like that he's nice. I like that he cares in ways that it feels like we haven't had a superstar care like this in quite a while. Oof. Like there's something different about him. I'm excited to see what he's going to do at the All-Star game this year because that's our only hope of someone saving this shit.
Slam dunk contest. I want Wemby in the slam dunk contest.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
I
saw JaVale McGee. I get it. I know what it looks like.
I was just thinking about JaVale McGee. I was thinking about when JaVale McGee hurt my feelings. I was thinking about that today.
How did I don't know the story.
Well, JaVale didn't like any of the media when he came to Golden State.
No.
I know. He blamed us for Shaqtin' a fool. And I was in the loading dock. I think we were in Portland. I think I was talking to Rich Kleiman, handler of Kevin Durant. And look, I know my role. I know I'm a nerd in the locker room or whatever. I don't try to be, well, not, outside the locker room, in my home, in my bathroom, anywhere. I know this about myself, but words can be hurtful. They can be hurtful. And Rich Kleiman says to JaVale, hey, JaVale, what do you think about this guy? Is he cool or is he weird? And JaVale's eyes get really big and he goes, weird. And it hurt.
I mean, but he's right, man. Hold on.
It hurt.
Wait,
it hurt.
Why would that
hurt? Because that guy's weird.
You are weird. You don't think you're weird? You once said the national instead of playing the national anthem for games, they should play the theme from Jurassic Park.
I just
wish
that had been our national anthem. I wish our national anthem had been sung.
Ethan wanted all right, look, welcome to the game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Washington Wizards and the Golden State Warriors. And now,
But I got to take on sort of music that stirs my heart like that as we round the third base here to home plate. Not enough respect in round ball rock for that little ditty that precedes the song everybody sings. Well, yeah, that whole thing. That little setup gets no love, and that's not the same song without that setup. I mean, that's just a little thing.
It's the Costas again. Like we saw this last week. They started doing the Costas voiceover intro narration, right? And he does the whole thing, and then at the end of it is like, tonight these two teams meet, and then you hear the bum, bum, and the peacock gets outlined by a laser. Dude, the Sunday before the start of the season, I'm watching Sunday Night Football, and they're doing the overhead shot. They're coming back from break, and then they do the promo and the music kick, and every single hair on my, there's no greater proof of Pavlovian response than playing that song and letting me know there's a basketball game that's about to happen. I get so excited. Every time they came back from break, they played the music, obviously. I go nuts.
Philip, good thing these guys are podcasters and not lead singers. Yeah, that might have not been our most harmonious work, but you know what we're talking about. You know that little ditty that precedes. So final minute. I like your thoughts on the new broadcasts And it did blow my mind as well when Bob Costas did his Clippers Warriors thing, that the Warriors had the third most championships. How did we not know that? How was that kept from us? Who kept that from us?
I don't know. I knew it. I just didn't know it. I don't know. I don't know how to make sense of it. I knew it, but I didn't know it.
I can't come up with a third team beyond the Lakers and the Celtics, but wait a second. They don't have more than the Bulls. Do they have more than the Bulls?
Bulls have 6. The Warriors have 7.
Oh my God. Okay.
Because Steph has 4, Rick Barry has 1, and then Wilt has 2.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. You can't count that one.
Why not? Oh, we're gonna count Minneapolis Laker championships.
I mean, they're still going to be in the top 2 if you take away whatever.
We're gonna count pre-ABA merger championships from the Celtics when there are like 8 teams in the league. Get out of here, man.
I mean, look, I just, you can't. That's not the same Warriors. There isn't anybody out there who's a fan of the Warriors because of the Philadelphia connection. That person doesn't exist.
That's not true. That's because they're dead.
Oh yeah, but that's a factor here. That's a factor. Man, I could talk more, but we got the hour wrapping up. Great stuff as always. Amin, what do you want to promote for everybody? What should we be on the lookout for?
Here we go. All right. So obviously Pablo Torre finds out these episodes that have been coming out on both this topic, there was one we did in July, and then the one that we did this week. The aspiration stuff with Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, those, you guys know there's a zillion of them. Check them out, and there will be more on the way. We're not done with that story yet. Cinephobe, that's the podcast where Zach Harper and I watch movies that are poorly rated on Rotten Tomatoes, try to ascertain whether they're accurately rated, or maybe they didn't get a fair shake. It's produced by Anthony Mays. You get it wherever you get podcasts. The movie this week was Rambo, First Blood Part 2. Had a lot of fun doing that. What's up? We got Basketball Illuminati. That's on my basketball podcast that I do with Tom Haberstone, also produced by Anthony Mays. We had Jerome Weitzman on. Well, of course, he had his book about an incredible book, incredible read, incredible conversation with Jerome. Make sure you check that out. And then I got a new podcast. It's called Here's the Science, a Bar Rescue podcast. If you've ever watched the show Bar Rescue with John Taffer, where he goes to different bars and yells at people and throws shit and cusses them out and then does a rebrand, and all of a sudden everything's fine. We got off on the wrong foot. Zach Harper and I and Chelsea Reynolds, who's a veteran of the bar and restaurant scene, and our producer Colin Cassard, we break down a different episode every week. Plus, we have all sorts of extra content if you are a Patreon. Patreon.com/countthedings. Make sure you're locked in. You're getting all the extra content. So there you go.
You know who got
more
off on
podcasts than man.
You know who got off on the wrong foot of me?
Who's that?
You and me back in the day. You're the only person I have hey, we got off on the wrong
foot. You blocked me.
Yeah, we were. You're the only guy
you blocked
I have
me.
A whole we got off on the wrong foot conversation. Yeah. I can't think of anybody else.
I was trying to have a conversation with Ethan and he blocked me.
Well, I blocked you because you were causing trouble for me and telling Zach Lowe I was talking shit about him on the internet. I didn't want those problems.
I didn't do that.
We don't have to relitigate all of that. Philip says, bring back Amin, please. We will try. These are always so great. So great. Incredible podcasts. The best podcasts. See, I can't do the gesticulations. That's the hardest part for me. It's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. All right, folks. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween to everybody. See ya.